What's up, guys? It's Zarya here, and today I'm bringing you my official Zarya guide. This is the last tank guide on the channel, so I'm just, I'm excited about it, but I'm just going to talk about Zarya. It's a tank I play the least, but she's really good, so let's get into it. So, obviously, in Season 2, Zarya was kind of like the OP tank. Everyone played her, she was extremely strong, she was, like, impossible to kill, and that's because despite the fact that she has the least HP of all the tanks, she has the ability to bubble herself and a teammate, and that's so good for tanking because it gave like 200 HP of like immunity for a brief 2-second period, and 200 of her HP is shields, which means it regenerates. So if you can't kill her, or if she's getting healing, she can just regen insanely quickly, and she can just like frontline the fight. So the thing that really, Zarya's play hinges on is her bubbles, and if people are new to the game, her bubbles prevent 200 HP, and now they give 40 charge out of 100, and the more damage you take, the more charge you get, and that's how you build her weapon charge and deal more damage. So obviously her bubbles are like a key thing, but that's kind of also where people play her incorrectly at lower levels, and that's because people go out seeking charge. They go out seeking the ability to they want to jump in front of their Rhine, jump to pop a bubble and get charge. And that's actually a mistake, because the problem is your bubbles are so vital, and they're each on like an 8-second cooldown, and they're so important to your survivability and what makes you so useful to your team. So the biggest thing is you want to use your bubbles to protect an ally and yourself in a fight. And if you're in a fight, a team fight, and you're a tank and you do it correctly, you're not supposed to die. So if you can get a couple, more than 2, like 3 or 4 bubbles, you're going to get to 100 charge, especially if you're the tank, because you should be taking the damage in the middle of the fight. So the thing that's so important but the thing that's even more important is the teammate bubble. And that's what really makes her stand out, especially now that she doesn't do quite the same insane damage as before. And that's that her teammate bubble is so good, because if you have someone like a Genji or Reaper who's going into the enemy team to ult, they're very susceptible to like counter initiation, or especially when you have like a Rhine pinning or someone going in the middle of the enemy team. Well, if you bubble them, then the enemy team's initiation is slowed by either 200 damage or 2 seconds, and suddenly your target has now time and space to get off their ult, which can like pin, or if you're Ryan, you can slam people down, you can do insane damage, and it just protects them. And it's a great way to like protect your team or someone exposed from dying and wasting their ult. At the same time, if someone's overextending, more like a Genji or something, or someone gets Junkrat trapped, or like a Reaper gets caught in, you can bubble him, and it'll help him get back to safety and stay alive. That's why also that's going to lead me to saying that's why Zarya is so good in the dive comp, is because she can protect her team. And if you don't know about the dive comp, I'll probably make a video on that soon with death ball and stuff. But I've mentioned that in my tanking guide, which will be in the description. But the thing's really important about the dive comp with Zarya is Winston will jump in, or D.Va can fly in, and they're exposed, they're behind enemy lines. Well, Zarya bubbles them and keeps them alive, which allows them to deal more damage, get more value, and then your team can come in. Because while she may be extremely good in a dive comp, because her ability to like put a bubble on someone to protect them is like crucial, because there's so much, like the same thing makes Ana good with her range healing, is you can be from a distance and protect your team. It's what makes Zarya so good. But the other thing is it really helps her, because her weakness is the fact that she has no mobility. She can't just like tank insane amounts of HP. She can't fly away. She can't do stuff like that. She is not mobile, so the ability to reach out to her team gives her insane like presence on the battlefield, and that's what's super good. And if you waste that range bubble for your teammate on someone just to get charge, you're not going to have it in case someone gets pinned, someone gets initiated on, someone gets slammed down, someone is getting Mei frozen. You need that to protect your team, to either set up an ult or defend them from initiation. And that's what swings the fight, since man advantage is so good. Because if your team is getting those picks and they aren't, you're staying alive and you're winning the fight. And that's how you win games consistently. So if you save those, you might not be getting as much charge, but you're doing more of a service to your team, which is obviously what tanking is meant to be, instead of this whole triple tank overpowerness. But so the second part of her, as I just mentioned, with her bubble, is that she's not mobile. So the thing is, people who use her bubble to gain charge, that can be effective and you need more damage. But the problem is, while that's on cooldown, if you get slammed, or if you're getting pinned, or if you get caught out, like your Ryan shield breaks, your team's Ryan shield breaks, you're suddenly defenseless because you have no other way. You just have 400 HP. And while that is super good, if you don't have a shield to like really like draw focus away and like annoy the enemy team, maybe make them stop firing for a second because they don't want to charge you, you're vulnerable. And your team is probably focusing on healing the Ryan next to you or someone else, and it can be a nightmare because you need that like brief split shield suddenness to just like stay alive and like really fulfill your role. And that's the point. You don't want to waste those bubbles because they're so important. Because if you're staying alive, it means you can not only deal damage, but you can keep a teammate alive with another bubble. And that's just so influential. Because the ability to keep teammates alive and keep yourself alive in random circumstances, it makes her so good. Now that we're talking about her beam, I'll just talk about the basics of it for people who are not aware. The more damage she takes into her shields, whether it be hers or the one she bubbles, it increases her charge to 100 and then slowly decreases over time. But the thing that's so good about her beam is that it can't be stopped except a shield. And it is track aiming. So if you can just get it on the person for a split second, it will be dealing damage. It's super good against people like Genji because he can't deflect it. And if you can track a Genji effectively, you'll do really good damage. It's really effective against D.Va because it goes through her defense matrix. And the thing is, her beam is just reliable. It's basically hit scan, except it's tracking. So if you can play heroes like Soldier, you can play Zarya. That's kind of something I like doing in Season 2, although I didn't play Soldier then. But if you can use those heroes in very similar aiming ways, so if you can practice with one, you can practice with the other. But it's really reliable, and that's what's so nice, is she's obviously known for dealing insane damage from a tank position. And while she may not be able to do quite as much anymore, having her as an off tank behind a Ryan means you can unlock the true potential. She can focus on her team, which takes great game sense. You can focus on dealing more damage. You'll stay alive more because you won't be needing to take all the damage. And that's her true role. It is an off tank. Even though she can shield, she's not a main tank. Because if you're staying off, you can really keep yourself alive, and your bubbles can be used more sparingly and more in clutch situations, which will help a lot. And that's probably the other biggest thing, is people use her as a main tank in a lot lower ranks, and that's just does not work. Is she needs to be an off tank behind a main tank, and you just unlock that insane potential out of Zarya. Because if you can keep her alive behind a main tank and let her use her bubbles effectively to keep people alive, and you don't use it to gain charge, you're really so hard to kill. Your team can be incredibly hard to kill, especially with like a main tank already making them hard to kill until that shield's down. A well-timed bubble can stop their initiation altogether, and that's what makes Zarya so influential. So the final thing about her is her ult. And this is the other thing people misuse about her all the time. And that's that her ult is probably the slowest charging in the game, and it's incredibly valuable, the ability to suck all your enemy team into like one space. And the thing that people waste it on is they're like, oh, I'll use it so I can get kills and just use my high charge, and that's good and stuff, but the problem is you really want to use her ult in combo with something. Roadhog's ult being the number one example because that's the best damage combo in the game. But the other things people use it with, like a Reaper ult, they use it with a Genji ult, and they use it with even maybe you try a D.Va ult, they use it with Hanzo ult, especially good. And that's the thing, you want to use your ult to combo, because if you get 3-4 people, if you might not be able to kill all of them, especially if you caught a Ryan, but if you throw one of your other massive DPS ults in there, you're going to just wipe the enemy team. Tracer's another good one with Pulse Bomb, and something else with Ana. You can anti-heal their whole team, which is insanely important, especially if they're running Zen, who could Transcendence block the whole thing. I know my friend who plays main Zen, he's helped us a lot, getting a lot of Zen Transcendence blocks of Zarya ults, which is incredibly useful. But at that, really, if you can wake the Waster ult, that's the biggest mistake in a game with Zarya, because it's so slow charging, and you need to get value out of it, which is why I always say comboing it, because if you combo it, you will get kills, and it's so good. And just making your team aware of that, even if you're just running with a Tracer, when you need to make sure when you have your ult, she has Pulse Bomb, so when you ult, you can throw a Pulse Bomb in there to blow it up. Even just something simple, two heroes that you don't think synergize can synergize with her ult, and that's what's so important, is above everything getting value out of it, and it's so good. And if you can coordinate with your team and get a combo, it'll just wipe, and that's how you win team fights right there. And it's so good. You only need 2 ults to wipe like 4 of them, and then you have man advantage. And that's why it's so important to work on Graviton comboing, because if you can get 2 or 3 people, you will just win the fight straight out. But see, all this stuff that I've mentioned is what makes Zarya a 3-star hero, what makes her so hard, is because you have to have all this game sense to be able to bubble at the right times. You need to have great coordination to like combo your ults and make sure you know when to bubble, who's ulting and stuff. So you need to not only play this role of tank, which requires you to like take damage, deal damage, and defend. You need to have all this game sense to utilize your kit to the max. Because if you're not, you're just wasting your kit. Because yes, she can be doing damage, but that's not what she's about. She's a tank. She's meant to protect her team and really set the whole game up. And if you put her in the right position and you let her use her game sense, it's insanely valuable to have a Zarya. And that's when she can seem broken, because it's hard to kill her. She's protecting her team, and it seems like everything the other team's doing with ultimates and comboing and all their initiation and counter initiation is spot on. And if you're not getting that and if your other team's not getting that mid advantage, you're staying around in the fight, you can win the fight. And that's the biggest thing. And if you play Zarya correctly, you should be able to defend your team from initiation and counter initiate or initiate with a lot of precision and effectiveness. So I hope you guys found this guide effective. I hope you can play Zarya better. I hope you can fix these mistakes. I hope you still can think she's OP when you play her like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.